Well, I'll address signing day in that it's interesting to have two of these, and obviously a lot of our class was signed in December, but with the additions today, which include some mission kids, a couple skill kids, and some young men they're going to join us this summer. I am excited about these guys. They're quality young men. The biggest thing that highlights this class for me, the total class, including the kids that we signed in December and the kids that we signed now, is the athleticism, multi-sport athletes, with over 80% of this class is multi-sport athletes. And I just think from a competitive standpoint, an athletic standpoint, that's important to us. It's not always the most important thing on recruiting a kid, but I do think the competitiveness in kids and playing multi-sports is very important. So it's a class that really focused more than anything on our need to sign O-line and D-linemen. We hit that in mostly in December with the offensive linemen. A few more now, and then the D linemen now, a couple quarterbacks, and then I think, the spots that kids have a chance to come in and play, the biggest spot to come in and play right away would be the receiver position. And, with Devin and Tim Patrick, we expect them to come in and compete. How well they'll do that early is hard to say. Savon Scarver did it last year. But that's, just with the graduation, we lost 3 seniors at receiver, at outside receiver. Both those guys are expected to come in and compete. How well they do, we'll see come the end of August. But I'd like to talk about any of these guys individually. You guys want to go ahead and start it off with some questions, and we can talk more about this class. Al, you want to start us off?
Can you, obviously my thought was what changed. Obviously it got better, whoever you signed from December to February, but is there somebody or some couple of guys that you got in that period of time that really do add more to the class specifically?
Well, I think the two guys that stick out that maybe have a chance to come in and compete early on are Michael Anyanwu and Devin Tompkins. Saying that, we've played other freshmen. I do think we got some talented freshman linebackers that we, have taken right here. Linebacker was a bigger need for us last year in terms of the older guys. So I would look at those two guys just from a skill spot. You lose 2 senior corners and you lose 3 senior receivers. You're just talking about sheer numbers. Those are 2 positions that we play a lot of guys at. We usually play 2 deep at outside receiver and 2 deep at corner. And then, Coach Tomerdahl plays them in special teams. So that's kind of why you're looking at those guys. You have DJ Williams, who we signed, who's in here right now. That's a nickel that should compete ASAP. We signed Tim in the December period. I'm kind of lumping them all together just because they're this class. But those are 2 positions that I think corner and wideout guys have the chance to come in and play.
And the other question I had was, to be honest, most years we lately have signed more than 3 JC guys. Is that more of now your numbers are better in the rest of it, or are there not as many available to really come in and step into where you need help? Because that's usually what you're looking for with a JC guy.
You're right. Maybe a little mix of both. We didn't think that we needed as many junior college guys to come in and fill gaps, and I think that's a testament to last year's recruiting class as well, because we signed some junior college guys last year that were like they had 4 years and they had 3 years. Kyler Hack is similar. Kyler Hack's a junior college offensive lineman, but he's coming in as a sophomore with 3 years, and he'll compete at one of the tackle spots this spring. So I think that had something to do with it. Here's the other thing that had something to do with it. We're announcing 2 4-year transfers, Tipa and Fua, who both were here in August and went through the program. They were ineligible. We haven't talked about them much. But these are 2 guys that, I know Doug has on the list right here that were with us this year that sat out. Tipa coming from TCU and Fua coming from Oklahoma State. And so they were ineligible. They both have 2 years to play. So you can spin it a lot of different ways. We've signed those kind of kids as junior college kids in the past. So we needed guys in a year to come in and compete. Those were two guys that, we had really tried to recruit on the front end. And then for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and now they're with us, and they do fill some needs. And those two guys will absolutely be in the mix this spring for starting spots as well as, a rotational basis, Fua on the D-line.
Okay.
Yep.
This may be a stupid question, but why, with the two signing periods, why did these guys wait until now instead of doing December?
Not a stupid question. Good question. I think everybody has their own story. Some of these guys had, I'm not going to talk about not the in-state guys for Utah because some states finish up playoffs late. The team runs, we've had kids that we've recruited that had late playoff runs, and they chose not to go on official visits during their playoff runs and take their official visits in January. Some kids had maybe waited out for better offers in January, and so they turned things down early and they waited. Some of them, everybody, they're all just a little bit different. Some of them we were later coming in on. So I don't think you can say any one thing for why they waited.
You signed 3 players from East. Coach Madich is obviously, his staff have done a great job the last few years. What about the players from that program has really stood out to you the last couple of years?
Well, first and foremost, we signed a lot of guys from the state of Utah. Which is a primary focus of our recruiting efforts every year. The mission program, we signed 4 that will be sign and send missionaries. And then the Polynesian pipeline. Those are 3 things that, we hang our hat on with, I would say, a good amount of our class every year. Your question, mentioning East High with 3 signees. Brandon Madich does a phenomenal job in this state. His staff, they're always a very tough team. They're well disciplined, and I think that translates to these guys. We got 2 of those will be mission kids. Sinney and Johnson are both mission guys. But yeah, East, we've had a good relationship with East. We continue to have a great relationship with East, and those kids are always good players coming out of that program.
So what is today like in comparison to past February signing days, and how that changed with the two?
Seemed for us really uneventful. I mean, there didn't seem to be as much drama playing out over the last few days in terms of kids flipping or us flipping anybody. That was kind of happening more in December for us. I don't know if it'll change next year. It's hard to predict it. We didn't have as many scholarships to give and to go out and find in January, so it was a little bit of a different January for us as coaches. We actively looked for walk-ons and to build our walk-on program. We spent a little bit more time with our own players here in January, like on the front end and the back end of a week on Mondays and Fridays, being around our guys in the weight room and up here in the offices. We haven't done that as much. Just because there wasn't as many spots for us. We got to change up how we recruited a little bit. And then we probably team recruited a little bit more and had more guys, on one kid. So a little bit different strategy this January. And it could change next year. Who knows how the early signing period will be next year. But there were quite a few guys around the country. Quite a few teams signed the vast majority of their classes this signing period based on the numbers I've seen.
So what normally happens now between signing day and spring football? What is going on?
Yeah, we got 2.5 weeks.
Is that it?
Yeah. Seen the calendar, starting February 24th. We actually use the last 2 days as coaches, offensive staff and defensive staff, going over self-scout cut-ups and our season cut-ups and prepping for spring ball. And so when we get back on Monday, we've got early morning workouts, 5:45, that start Monday morning with our players that are the best, that are awesome. That's the best time of the year. I love it. Preparing these guys for for spring ball and for next year. And so we kind of got 2 weeks of inside, indoor conditioning and all that, but meetings and prepping for spring ball. And then here we go with the spring ball, earliest start we've ever had.
So that means then that's when the snow will start.
You think, Al?
That's probably what'll happen.
We could go out right now.
Yeah, so you should have been out.
We could be out. We could have started this week, and I see on my phone on the weather next week looks like it's going to be all right too.
So it'll be the week
So
after.
February 24th we'll probably get a nice snowfall and we'll be indoors. So
Last time, this is the first time we've had you since you made the one coaching change and Coach Shaver left and you kind of hired a new. How will that work then, defensive structure? Is
Yep.
the new coach the defensive coordinator,
Yep.
or is it going to be a co-deal,
Yep.
or have you decided that? Or what?
Absolutely. So hired Keith Patterson. His title will be defense coordinator, and he'll coach the safeties. So he and Coach Brown, Julius Brown, will Julius will be in charge of the corners. Keith will have the safeties, but often Juice will take the whole secondary, just like he's done in the past. Frank Miley will continue to be our co-defensive coordinator and in charge of our D-line. And Frank will have an expanded role in terms of helping coach the outside linebackers and some of the stuff that we're going to do in the forcing unit up front in the front seven. Keith will be the play caller. Kendrick was the play caller. Keith will be the play caller. And in terms of structure and how we've done things, very similar to when I hired Todd Orlando. There were already 3 guys in the room, 3 defensive coaches, and Keith has come in and really just learned our system, our way of doing things. We have taught him, and there's going to be a great mix. He's a fantastic coach, great human being, great person. Was with him for 4 years at Tulsa, so know him very well. Known him many years before that as an Oklahoma high school coach and Texas high school coach. But between him and Frank, they'll do a great job of leading our defensive staff. They'll both lead our defensive unit. I think Keith's been here 2 weeks now, and our players have really enjoyed getting to know him. And I hope I don't think we'll miss a beat on defense. We'll be stronger unit, I think, hopefully because of the move. And this is a guy that is a fantastic coach and a hire for us at Utah State.
Will it then be for sure the first year you haven't changed offensive coordinator in 5 years now?
It'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Will that happen for sure, do you think?
It looks like right now. Yep. So, you look at Coach Miley, Coach Tomerdahl, and Coach Yost, and now you add Keith in. That's a strong unit for us at Utah State in terms of coordinators. But yep, don't see any change happening. But I didn't see that curveball coming yesterday in Indianapolis either. So who knows what could happen? What else?
Not up for that job.
I'm not. No, I can publicly state that I'm not.
Well, I mean, people always want to know about the Utah kids.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
local kids, or
Yep.
whatever. I mean, we had some pretty good teams here in the Valley this year. Obviously, we had one play for championship,
Mm-hmm.
another one was #1 ranked, and there's kids from Utah we signed, but we didn't get any
Mm-hmm.
from in the Valley. Can you make any comment about the local players? Did you look closely?
Oh,
I mean, that kind of
absolutely.
thing?
Yeah, I've personally been in every Valley school in the last couple weeks. Coach Yost and Coach Miley both recruit the Valley, and the Valley is very important to us. It always will be. We'll always start here. But just in terms of scholarship kid or whatever, there will be probably some kids from the Valley come in as a non-scholarship player to begin with, and so I think you'll see that. But shoot, we've always started from the Valley first to in-state and then kind of moved on from there.
I just have one more question.
Go ahead. No.
It just seems to me that Utah, the talent pool just keeps getting
Oh.
deeper and deeper. I mean, do you feel that's a fair and accurate statement? This may be as deep as it's ever been.
I think it's absolutely an accurate statement because I think it's the truth. The talent pool in Utah is deeper than it's ever been, and I think that's evidenced by how many Division I signees are coming out of this state with less than 3 million in terms of population. I think our high school coaches in this state are developing these guys. I think it's important to these players to be great students and great athletes, and they want to be Division I football players. And, I mean, just the numbers, they keep coming up. A lot of out-of-state schools unfortunately, are coming into this state and recruiting, and it's great for this state, great for Utah high school football. My hat's off to these coaches in terms of them developing the players, and much respect to the players for developing themselves to be recruitable athletes and recruitable players. And we have won here at Utah State with a lot of Utah players, and we will continue to do that, recruit them, and we will continue to develop them, and we'll win at Utah State with a bunch of high school players from the state of Utah.
That might be an all-time, in recent memory though, years that we haven't signed more guys from California than just 3 or whatever it looks like. Is that right? I mean, that's always been the place where Utah State's got players from over the years, is California.
Still the second highest state, though, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Yep. Yeah, it'll always be.
Yeah.
California will probably always be our second highest state. It is in our locker room right now, and it typically is in terms of our signees. And then, you're going to have some players from, Texas and Florida, and there's always going to be a few junior college guys. This year it was Oklahoma. DJ's junior college in Kansas, but he's from Tennessee, right outside Nashville. And then Kyler, Kyler was in California. It's really another California recruit, if you want to count it that,
Yeah, 'cause he played there.
because he played at Orange Coast
College,
for a semester.
That's true.
But he's a Las Vegas kid. So, however you count those.